So again, welcome to the NAL ED Talking Circle. It's your May Talking Circle. But before we get into the Talking Circle, let's go ahead and get disclaimed. Let's see if that recording is gonna.
This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred.
Great. Now that we've been disclaimed, let's go ahead and look at what we're going to be discussing and talking about on today's agenda. At first, we're going to go through some reminders and announcements, and then we have a little program activity sharing. And of course, at the end, we'll be sort of reviewing upcoming events so that everybody knows what's coming down the pike for both May and June. I'm going to slow down a little bit because I see more people joining us. I want to make sure they get their audio on. Okay, awesome. All right. Also on today is your program officers, Dr. Donna Sabas-Burns and Gabby. Hi.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon or morning.
Yeah, great. Okay, and I am Olani Lily. I am your OIE TA coach. I get to work with all of our NAL ED grantees, and so it's just great to again see you in May. Let's go through a little some reminders and announcements. The first big one is we really want to just send out a lot of love and appreciation to our teachers this week. If you didn't know, this week is Teacher Appreciation Week. And while, we have certified teachers working in your programs, we also know that all of you at some level are educating and are involved in education for our youth. So again, you are making a difference every day in the life of a Native child, family, and community. So OIE just wanted to send out their appreciation for all the work and important work that you do as teachers. The other piece of information we wanted to share is that there is a new STEP grant competition out. The 2023 State Tribal Education Partnership Discretionary Grant Program competition is now available. I am going to go ahead and throw the link that you can access more information on that competition into the chat. OIE is looking for peer reviewers with maybe some people that in your organization or in your community that may want to be a peer reviewer. You can go ahead and contact OIE. You can either email, I guess, Donna, is that right? Or you can send an email to the OIE@seiservices.com.
Either way, we'll get it to the contractor who's collecting those. And so whatever easiest for everybody.
Awesome. Thanks, Anna. Again, you can see the date of the pre-application webinar is May 17th if you are interested, or maybe your TA is interested. And also the due date for applications is July 3rd, 2023. If you are, maybe you want to learn how to write grants, or you want to improve your grant writing skills, being a peer reviewer is really helpful in developing your skills and being able to see, what it looks like from a review standpoint. So if you're interested in developing that muscle, that's a great way to do that. Also, I wanted to just remind you that the project directors meeting is coming up June 6th through the 8th. Remember that all project directors are required to attend. And right here, it says you can invite up to 3 members, but actually that has been expanded. So you can invite your entire team if you want. You can invite any of your, maybe you have tribal members or your other programs or organizations that you think may, or not organization, but other program staff that you think may benefit from the information. We really want to encourage you and invite your team. Also, maybe stakeholders that may be interested in developing their capacity and knowing the broader landscape around Native American and Alaska Native education. Currently, we have this was as of yesterday, 160 total registration, and 10 of those registered are NAL ED grantees. I want to really encourage you to register now. Remember that it is a requirement that at a minimum, all project directors do attend the this project directors meeting.
Also, just a second, can you go back one second? Eleni, just to reiterate again, there is no limitation on who you can invite. We really do suggest you get in there as early as possible, because you can go in and look, and it's a fabulous platform. You can create once the access is fully available, you'll be able to do your agendas, and you create your own agendas, look at all the speakers, look at everything that you could possibly want, and not rush, and be able to carefully choose your sessions, because again, this year we have a plethora of wonderful sessions from which to choose as well. So please get the word out. 10 out of 160 is not that great with all the wonderful people we have working on our grants. So if you can spread the word and share the links and everything else, that would be fabulous.
Thank you.
And I'll just throw in, it's a super quick registration process. So I've popped the link in the chat, and you're welcome to even knock that out as we go throughout today.
Yeah. Check that one off your list. Again, we have the NAL ED Padlet. Really want to encourage you to access that. It has like the latest information regarding forms or reports that are due. Also, if you have any questions, you can sort of take a look and ask questions of your peers, or even respond to questions. I go in usually every 2 weeks to make sure to check to see if there's any conversation going on. So it's just a really great resource to be able to access. It's a great also, I think, like a warehouse or a storehouse for the forms that you normally need to access. So if you're ever like, oh my gosh, like where did my budget revision form go? I can't find it on my computer. You can always go to the Padlet, and it'll be housed in this column in this section called Forms and Templates. So you always know where to find that information. Just another reminder, I know you folks have just recently completed your APR, and maybe through that process, you identified areas in your budget that you want to change. I know in talking and meeting with many of you, you had some maybe delays, particularly for our new NAL ED grantees, delays in hiring. And so I know I've had many conversations with you folks about wanting to move those funds into areas that you can make sure that you're expending down all your funds. Now's the time to do a budget revision. So you want to make sure you have reviewed your expenditures, which most of you have done via the APR. You want to also review your project measures, see, again, go back to that APR section A, what were you hitting, what were you maybe falling behind on, and how can you develop a budget that best supports your successful completion of all of your GEPRA and objectives. Meet with your program and budget staff. That's a great, I guess, practice to do regularly, to have both your program and budget staff meet together to really bring together what's happening on the ground as far as activities with the actual expenditures of the funds. And then go ahead and complete a budget revision and submit that to your program officer we do ask that when you submit that to your program officer, if you could just CC oie@seiservices.com. That way we can be up to date. And if you need any coaching, we do have access to that information. That would be really appreciated. You can submit a budget revision at any time. Normally, I think your program officer would like to get your budget revisions, up until maybe the last month of the grant year. But the reason why there's such flexibility around your budget revision is that OIE really wants to make sure that you are expending all of those funds that you have allocated to you in that particular grant year. I know, again, some of you may have be not expending all of your funds in a particular budget category. This is a great time to sort of look at that and submit a budget revision. Again, the best way to submit a budget revision is on your optional budget revision form. If you maybe are looking like, I can't find that on my computer, where do you go? You can go to the NAL ED Padlet. That optional budget revision form is located there. Yeah, that's a great point. Thanks, Sarah. Remember that, again, you may want to make the changes, and you may sort of like need those changes to happen, but please do not expend the funds in a budget category that has not previously been approved. And so you want to make sure you're getting your budget revision submitted in a timely fashion, getting that approved, and then being able to expend the funds based on that budget revision that was approved.
And also, Alani, please remember grantees the more information you provide to me in your explanation, the less back and forth that we'll have to do, and the quicker your budget will get approved or reviewed. So a lot of times we're having to go back and say, okay, expand on this. What does that mean? You want to travel? Where? How many? What's the lodging? What's the travel, transportation, food? All those things need to be included with these budget changes. So the more you give, the less we have to go back and forth.
Yeah, great. And that all what Donna is requesting, it can be submitted in this last column here under budget revision explanation. The other thing, I think that was a great example around travel, beyond just sort of like the cost and where you're going. It really should be connected to your project objectives. And so also in your justification, show how that travel or that expenditure is going to help you to successfully implement your objectives. And so it should be connected. And please show that connection for your program officer. We want to thank all of the grantees that were able to submit their APR on time through the G5 system. We had a great showing this year. We really appreciate all of your work, all of the time you're reaching out to make sure that you were doing things correctly. We do have a few that do need to get completed. And so if that is you, please reach out to the OIE technical assistance team, schedule some coaching time so that we can make sure that you get your submission. The APR is really a key piece of information for your program officer to see that you are successfully moving the project forward. It helps them to make decisions regarding continuation of award. And so if you have not completed, or maybe you've had some revisions that you have to do, you really want to put that high on your priority list, so that you can, so that your program officer has the information available to them in order to make decisions regarding the continuation of your grant in the following year. So that's us sort of sharing some business, giving you some updates and reminders. Now this is your time. And so this is a talking circle. We're going to be doing some talking through Post-its. One of the things I wanted to sort of reach back on is you guys have just completed a really important part of your grant management work, and that was your APR. And so we don't want to let the experience sort of just slide by us. I think it's a great time to sort of look and reflect on what you were able to report in your APR. And I'm sure many of you are already thinking while you're doing the APR, how you want to sort of move forward in the remaining months of this year. And so I really want to encourage all of you folks to participate. You can participate in different ways, but we are going to do this activity that's called Start, Stop, and Continue. And we're really going to be doing this focused on thinking about the APR, the data that you collected, and the processes you use to collect that data. We're going to take the remaining part of our time right in this chunk to really reflect on what we would like to start. So maybe there was something in going through our APR, we thought, we really need to get started on this, or we need to put this into place. And so we're going to look at the start part. We're going to look at the stop. Maybe there's something that you're doing that you think like, okay, we're not going to do that anymore, or we're going to not make that a focal point of our work moving forward. And then also to think about maybe activities or processes that we want to continue. And so really, again, think back on your APR, put your mind back to that time when you were putting together your APR, and we're going to go through each of these sort of start, stop, and continue aspects. And so I'm going to be showing you a whiteboard that has these sticky notes on them. Soon I'm going to go get to the whiteboard, but this is an example. I just wanted to provide you some instructions. And so we're going to be looking first at what we should start, and you'll be able to create a sticky note and put up any of the things you think you should be starting to work on now after completing your APR. And then we're going to move to the things that you think you should stop. There may be activities or processes that you think you want to stop doing. And then we're going to look at and ask and reflect on the things that you want to continue. And so let me move. I'm going to have to stop sharing, and we're going to move to a whiteboard. All righty. Oh, shucks. Sorry. In my whiteboard. My technical difficulties. Can you folks see that?
I can see it, Alani.
Wait, it's not doing this. Hold on one moment. There we go. All right, all right, so you should be able to see this whiteboard. We're going to start with what should we stop, and let me just do a little orientation to this whiteboard. If you look on the left-hand side of your screen, you'll notice a toolbar that has an arrow at the top, a pencil, a circle, and a square. You want to go all the way down below the T, and you'll see if you just hover over that little sticky note, you can click it on it and create your own sticky note and go in and to start writing on what you want to stop. Now, sometimes while you're typing, if you have a lot of words in your sharing, it may make your font really small. You can go ahead and click on the sticky note and change that font size if you want it to be larger. So again, what we'd like you to do is to think about your APR and what, in going through that APR, both on the financial side as well as on the program side, are elements that you're doing that you want to, you think you should stop doing. if you are, maybe you are on your phone or your computer is not able to access this, you can also go ahead and throw it in the chat and or just come off of mute and let me know, and I'll create the sticky note for you. I see. There we go. I see people waiting. All right. So again, this first group of sticky notes should be on what should we stop doing? Okay. That's a great response. Oh, I see people moving on to the start. What should we start? That's great. You can continue. If you're moving from one board to the other, you can sort of scroll over the whiteboard. You can also move into what should we continue. I'm going to just stay in one place so you folks can do your inputting.
Think you can make those bigger so we could read them?
Let's see. You mean the sticky notes?
Yeah, like micro print. If I was 20 years younger, I might be able to read it.
Sure, we could try that. Let's see.
I'm there with you, Nadine.
Is that better? Can you see that better?
I was able to zoom in on my own screen.
Yes, that's I think the best thing is to click at the bottom, the little magnifying glass to zoom in.
Yeah, right here on the bottom, on my screen, it's the bottom right-hand side. They have the magnifying glass. You can zoom in on that.
Thank you, I got it.
Got it? Okay, great. Okay, I'm gonna just scoot to the side and see what we have going on and what should we start. Mhm. Great. Awesome. I'm going to scooch over and see what should we continue. Okay. So after we collect a couple more of these, I want to just sort of, I'm going to ask for those of you who've shared on the sticky notes, just maybe some questions and clarifications, and you can expand on the items that you are sharing. I'm going to just sort of stay here for a little bit. We should start aligning the report due date with the grant year or school year. Okay. Continue with everything that has been set up. It is very helpful for some who may not be familiar. Alrighty, let's look at the. It looks like the due dates, OIE report due dates come up a couple of times. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, but one of the reasons the APR happens when it does is that it gives the office an opportunity to review what's going on in your program and be able to make both decisions regarding maybe additional support, but also continuation for the following year. I don't know, is that correct, Donna?
Yeah, so a lot of people behind the scenes, a couple different reasons. We have to provide congressional justification for funding to the appropriation committees to say, Congress, we need more money. And here's our data showing that we are doing a great job. And so it takes time to get those GEPRA, all those things that you report in GEPRA, that's what we extrapolate and put into a report. And so that takes time. And two, we don't want to be at the end of a grant year when we see that there's people not making their targets for whatever reason. And as Alani alluded to, we want to be able to provide you as much TA as possible. So we do have it at a strange time, what may seem to you, but we do want to have ample time to provide you with the support that you may need if things aren't going as well as they could be. And also, we are in the midst of reviewing APRs because over the summer, we have to do our reporting, or what we call slate memos. And this is all the reporting and all the paperwork that we have to turn in order to get you funding next year. And that takes time because we have to prove that each of you are making substantial progress. And what do we use to prove that? Your APR data. And that's why that 999 figure, like, hey, I'll have it there. We just don't have it yet, but I'll get it to you. That's why we give you an opportunity after the grant period is done to collect those. But there's a lot of behind the scenes that we have to do at the time that we do it in order to provide the reporting data to our higher ups.
Awesome. Thanks, Donna, for that insight.
There's a lot, sorry.
No, it's great. Sometimes, you have to do things and you don't really sort of understand what the context is. And so thank you for providing that.
Sure.
I want to go, I see Robert has a couple questions in the chat. There's no due date for the, I'm guessing that's optional budget revision. I'm guessing that's what your question is. If it's the optional budget report, that is past due, that should have been submitted with your APR. If it's the optional budget revision form, then you can do that anytime up until, I believe, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, a month prior to the ending of your grant. Is that correct? That's
yes, you mean the update? Yeah, because we would need to have time to, especially if you're a 2020 grantee and may needing an open no cost extension, we're going to be looking at that as well. So any updated budget, because we're going to ask, okay, how much do you have left? Is it measuring up to G5? And then we make our decisions as to who gets those no cost extensions. And I think, Robert, you're a 2020 grantee.
And then if you're not changing your budget, no, you don't need to submit a budget revision if you're not changing it. If it's staying the same, then rock on.
But like Gabby did say, and she's absolutely right, if you aren't, and we are collecting information, or it's that time that you're reporting and you just made a recent, just got your budget approved not too long ago, letting us know that, hey, I'm not changing it is helpful too. It's a simple email, but it gives us a paper trail, as Gabby said, and gives us something to go by. So we're not hounding you and panicking when we're like, oh, we lost it. So that helps.
Yeah. Again, the APR is a really important tool, but a best practice is to keep your program officer sort of in the know about what's going on in your program throughout the year. So I'm thinking about doing a budget revision. I don't need to do a budget revision. Everything's going great. There should not be any big surprises for your program officer in the APR. And so again, a best practice is, keeping them in the loop about what is any big changes or maybe questions you have regarding changes or even small changes too. Nothing should be a surprise really, and to your program officer during APR season.
Just looking at, let's see, Robert, I think you just put, it would be better to have APR due at end March rather than April. Well, we do end of March because that's like, it signifies that quarter, that end of the quarter. And we had it in May last year, and that was tough, people said, because of everything going on. It's never a good time. Let me just say, it's probably never a good time to collect APR seasons in the spring with testing going on and so many other things out there. But we have to have time to, we have a lot of APRs to review, and we need eyes on as much as possible. And it takes time, and we can't get it to you any sooner in March, unfortunately.
Well, and I'm just going to chime in real quick from a preparation standpoint, because many of you are at the start of your grant and you have many more APRs to submit. The best thing to think about is look at your year, prep ahead of time and think about, when do I have time to start on this? Because it may not be ideal for you to be doing a ton of work on it right as we're doing, say, the APR webinars, or when it's literally due. But maybe the month before, you're like, I do have a window when I could devote a bit more time. Because you know that you have an APR every single year. We're telling you it's always going to be due basically in that April window. The exact day may move a little, but it's always going to be really in that April window. So as you're prepping your whole year, really think about when you could start some prep work, because the way that you report, as far as like the executive summary and the section A information and the budget info and the section C info, that's always going to be the same. Year to year, there may be slight tweaks that you can adjust once we have those APR webinars, but the bulk of your reporting is going to be the same every year. So I really think what has helped some of our grantees is to, as they plot their year at the beginning of the school year, they look at, what can I do incrementally throughout the year to work on this? What systems can I set up to support myself, so that then when it's actually time for the report, it's a lighter lift. You're not having to start from scratch. And if any of you want to kind of brainstorm how that could work for you and your team, we're always happy to kind of walk through your specific situation, but that is something that's helped some of our other grantees as far as making that kind of quirky reporting window work for them a little better.
Yeah, great idea. It could also, like Sarah was saying, be a part of your larger evaluation work, whether, you are conducting monthly staff meetings to go over where you are in your program objectives and what are the different tasks. So embed it into your regular operational processes. And then that way it won't be such a bear to put together, your data and your executive summary and your financial pieces as well. If it's you're operationalizing it into your regular daily living and working. And also for the new NAL ED grantees, you do have that planner, which is a great tool to use throughout the year to just store your information as you're going through. And then really APR is just about revising like your executive summary and putting the most up-to-date information.
There are a couple of things. Let's see, do we get a confirmation that APR accepted? Yes. You'll be receiving info, like either some kind of formal, yes, it's approved, after we've done all of our review that needs to happen. So that's a great question. And Janice, I see, what's the difference between the APR due in April and the end of the year report? So if any of you have any of those 999s that you reported with inaccurate, or not inaccurate, but rather you haven't collected all the data yet, and this is the opportunity for you to provide that information. I don't remember, Sarah, maybe you have it, Alani, maybe you have the date that we have ready. I don't remember what it is. But you will have a chance to provide us that information so we can update our records as well.
Donna,
Yeah.
this is Dr. Eastman. So I'm getting data at different times, like we're almost done with our achievement testing. So do I just submit them as they get done or just at the end?
You
Sarah,
would,
when do we usually collect those? Is it, oh,
Yeah, I was typing it in the chat. So the due date this year is October 26th. So what we really encourage so that you're turning in your data as coherently as possible is go ahead and start collecting it, putting it in the appropriate format. And then when we get to your talking circle in August, September, we'll give you really great details on exactly how to complete that end of year report, but it's in that section A form. And you will submit that via email. Like I said, it's due October 26th, but after we give you the directions for the report, you're welcome to turn it in then. Because a lot of times, because it's the beginning of the school year, by then you've gotten all of that data together. So you can always turn it in advance of that, but we do encourage you to wait and turn it all in as one cohesive end of year report versus kind of little chunks here and there.
yeah, they'll get lost in my email too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just being honest.
again, Dr. Eastman, if you have that data, you might want to house it in your planner too, to just hold it there for when you actually have to turn in your APR update. So that again is a great place to store that data there until it comes time.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Yeah,
I
sure.
really like, let's see, do monthly checkup calls with directors. So as many of you know, we are extremely short-staffed and we are all wearing either 2 or 3, 4 hats in the office right now. That's why I'm an interim project officer, program officer myself. But we do have good news. We do have a couple people starting in a couple weeks, and you'll be meeting them soon. And we also just got approved to hire 1 or 2 more people. So we are slowly getting ourselves back up to speed, and we'll be able to do those individualized visits apart, in addition to what our wonderful TA teams been able to provide. And also highlighting other programs. I love it. Yes. This is great feedback as to what we can do, include maybe in our talking circles is, everybody have a chance to highlight other programs, even doesn't even have to be current, it could be past programs that were successful. I mean, there's lots of things we can do with that. Absolutely. Mentoring Native programs or sharing. Yeah, these are all great suggestions, and we will definitely consider that as we plan our talking circles.
Yeah. Also, at the project directors meeting, we're going to have a lot of opportunities for grantees, current grantees, to share and highlight their programs. Looking at both, there is one session going to be specifically around language assessment. And so come learn from your fellow grantees and what they're doing. So yeah, awesome. Let's go and scroll over and look at what we should continue. Teaching tools provided by OIE. Yes. I'm glad they are helpful. Continue with everything that has been set up. Okay. Let's scroll, make sure we got to look at everybody's.
Thank you for your input. That's very helpful.
Okay. Awesome. So the next thing we wanted to do is really to maybe think about, what we've shared here and come up with some action steps to not just sort of leave this as, just talking about it, but we can actually put some of the items that we want to either stop or start or continue into action. So let me just go ahead and change. I'm going to close the whiteboard and change my whiteboard. Where's my notes? Here we go. Can you folks see that? It says share top 3 action steps. Alrighty, just want to make sure. So again, you can come here on the side on this toolbar, go ahead and click to create a sticky note. Oh, wait, where'd it go? There we go. And maybe share maybe 1 or 2 or 3 things, action steps that, again, based on what was shared, should be taken. I think for me is that I'm going to reach out to, oh, that doesn't look pretty. Reach out to, no. Okay, that's one step I'm going to take. So don't be surprised when I send you an email that I would love for you to sort of highlight some work to share at the next talking circle. So that's going to be one step. You can go ahead and put in your sticky note, and I'll just wait a moment as you do that. Or you can, if you're maybe having difficulty in accessing the whiteboard, you can put that in the chat as well, and I will create your sticky note for you. I am going to keep some of this. I mean, I am going to keep these notes, so that if any of those action steps I can support you with, I can make sure that those get done.
Can you say that again? It's 3 action steps for what?
So like, let's say, for example, we had a lot of discussion about the timeline of APR and when you need to submit. Maybe one of the action steps could be that I am going to do sort of monthly review and inputting into my planner to make sure that I'm collecting, I have all the data I'm going to need when I need to do my APR update. That could be an action step based on what we discussed previously. Does that help?
I'm not sure I have any action steps, so I guess I don't really, it's not very clear for me, so, but that's fine. I'll just look at what other people have.
Okay. Again, based on the discussion that we had previously, again, the timing of the APRs was noted several times. And so based on, maybe you had some challenges, maybe it doesn't fit within your sort of normal flow of your program, what would be some action steps you're going to take to make APR, either your update or next year, flow better, work better for you, be maybe less stressful, maybe you know, fit in be more operationalized into the daily functioning of your program?
You can even utilize more coaching sessions if you need. You can, get your budget, any budget adjustments are done ahead of time. So that's one piece hopefully you won't have to change come APR time. I don't know, just thinking.
Yeah. Also a lot of times we do coaching around like a particular reporting need. Maybe there's a question, we do a lot around like whether is my budget okay? What do I put in this section? But we could also be thought partners when it comes to like, hey, I have this idea, don't really know how it would work. Because we get to work with all of you folks, we know which program is doing what. We may be able to put you in contact with a fellow grantee, or also just sort of talk through processes. Sometimes you just need somebody to sort of like talk to and flesh things out. We can also provide that kind of support. Oh, nice. I'm going to utilize coaching from the beginning. Yes, please take advantage of it. Much easier having done it once. Yes, that's great. Yeah, I mean, sometimes when it's your first time, you don't know like what it looks like, or you don't know like when you actually get into G5, how the mechanics go. And I know many of you have reached out like while you were in G5 going like, where am I putting my executive summary? How am I attaching, my section C, all the goodies that I want to share? How do I do that? How do I make, we get quite often, how do I make my PDF the right size, so it doesn't take me 3 days to upload it. You know, it's like, because you want to share, we want to see all of those goodies that you're sharing. And so we can help you with that too. So great. Bi-weekly check. Nice.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't see who's, whoever is writing the bi-weekly self check-ins, can you come off mute and talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So, yeah, this is Gail. So I didn't really start paying attention to all of it until it was closer to the time when things were due. So now diving into it, I see how much time it takes to get the information that's needed and dealing with different departments and everything. So it's like, even if it's said in over Zoom or something, you don't really know until you're actually doing it. And we here at the Academy, at Comanche Academy, we are very small. Like our staff, like someone had said earlier about wearing many hats, we all wear many, many hats here. And so, you know, a finance department, we don't have a finance department. We have an individual dealing with all the finances.
Yeah.
And so, you know, for her to do what needs to be done for the school and then to also try to gather this information for me, it's a lot for just one person. And so I've realized that in order for all of us to succeed, my role in it, I need to make sure that I'm staying on top of all of it, more than just reading through things, or like I have to actually be taking action and doing what needs to be done weekly, bi-weekly, rather than waiting until everything's, because my thoughts were, well, I have all this stuff available for me, but trying to put it all together the way that it's needed, you know, it has shown me what, being new to it, what I didn't really understand.
Great. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
There is a learning curve there, Gail, of course, and that's totally understandable. And I appreciate the sharing with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's great that you have a plan, some action steps that you're going to utilize moving forward. Again, I want to encourage you to use your planner as a place as you're doing your bi-weekly self check-ins, to maybe house some of that information there so you can access it later on. But that's a great practice. I'd also like to, I see this one, train all language teacher with assessment tool. Assessments of students will be school-wide, not just our program. Awesome. Can, whoever wrote that, can you talk a little, can come off mute and talk a little bit about that?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can.
Okay. I guess I met with the Lakota language teachers here at Little Wound School, and I found out that they've never done assessments. So we discussed about how do we know if our students are even learning or retaining the language. So I explained the grant that we'll be using the interagency assessment tool. And I asked if they will be comfortable if I did some training with them once I learned to use the tool. And they were really receptive about it. And so for me, I guess I feel it's really important because our students will be working with 50 students, and the language should not just be focused on these 50 students, it should be school-wide. And so when they're in the classroom, learning is happening here at the school, when they're at home, working with their partner, the parent or the grandparent that is the fluent speaker at home. So they're hearing it everywhere.
Yeah,
They're not just hearing it within our program and at home, that the school is a big part of really taking the initiative with the Lakota language.
yeah. Yes, that's wonderful. And it's a really it's great for teachers to know how to to proctor and to do the assessment, but also, having them be a part of the scoring and understanding the scoring helps to really feed the curriculum development piece and the instructional piece, because the teachers will know what is on the assessment. So that's a great learning and great action step too. I see grant team meetings in-house. Yes, that is really important. And I'm guessing when you talk about grant team, who are you thinking in terms of your grant team? Who would be included in that?
So I have, let me turn my video on.
Okay, cool.
So I have an EA that, one of the EAs that we hired, I have her working alongside with me because I'll be leaving soon and I need her to learn a lot of this stuff. And so she's, just recently been kind of learning about the grant and our objectives and everything. And so when we came to DC in December, it was another teacher that went with me there. So she's familiar with the grant and our objectives and everything. Of course, we want to work with the teachers for the curriculum and stuff and what works for our school. Also with the lady who handles the finance and then also our principal. So
Nice.
to me, I feel like that's our team here.
Nice.
At least with the NAL grant. And because we're so small and short-staffed, we do a lot of committees, we do a lot of teamwork. And a part of that is with the grants, coming together to try to search for grants, trying to figure out and learn how to write grants. So, it's not just for the NAL grant, but it's for others as well.
Yeah. That's awesome. Those are great members of a team, really crucial to have your program. The other thing I think that was really great about your example is that you're building some capacity within your organization and some redundancy when it comes to grant management. And I know a lot of shifting of responsibilities and roles, people coming and going. It's helpful to have more than one person know what's going on, so that there's not this dip in understanding. I mean, you don't lose everything when somebody sort of shifts roles or leaves the organization. So that's a great strategy at all different levels. So awesome.
Thank you.
Utilize coaching from the beginning, and then the APR will be much easier having done it once. Yeah. Remember to, okay, this may be, I think the U.S. Department of Education goal is that they will be utilizing the next iteration of the reporting management system. So I think they are going to be switching from G5 to G6. However, I know every year in going into that system, you really need to, that's why we really encourage you, once the window opens and you're able to access whether it's G5 or G6, to get in and to play around a little bit, just because it helps refresh your memory about okay, where am I putting this information? How do I upload this information? I know every year I sort of need to be refreshed, and I get to be refreshed with you as we walk through that process. But setting aside that time would be really helpful for you, so you're not sort of stressed out at the end, both inputting and trying to understand the system. But again, like I said, I believe next year, the goal is that we will have switch from G5 to G6. And so there'll be a lot of learning and understanding of that new system together. Okay, great. Again, I want to thank you all for sharing. I'm going to go back. Let's see, make sure I can find this. Go back to my presentation. Oh, shucks. 1 second. Sorry about that. Let's see. Come here. Share my screen. Sometimes I have to talk myself through all the finaglings of getting Zoom ready for you. And all right. Just grab this down. Okay, I want to make sure, can you folks all see my screen? It says summer fun.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So now I know we're in, what is this, May, right? School is, we're sort of like on the downhill to summer. Teachers are beginning to feel maybe tired or a little stressed out, and you may be also at the same time contemplating what's going to be happening during your summer months, which may include different staff. So we would just wanted to open up the discussion for you folks to share any of the activities that you have planned for the summer months. You can come off of mute and or go ahead and share in the chat, but we just want to hear what's going to be happening once school ends and the summer months begin.
Hello, this is Alana.
Hi.
Hi, we're planning to go back to school.
Mm.
They're having summer school.
Oh.
So they're wanting both languages in the school to cover some of their classes. A lot, you know, they want a little like extra activity more along the cultural lines and language, bringing the language along with like teaching them how to make fry bread, teaching them how to do cultural stuff.
Yeah.
Like
Nice.
home life skills, I guess you would say, like the cooking, the sewing, you know, all the stuff that needs to be taught just in sentences, like what we're doing,
Yeah.
and just speaking the language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and so are you're along with those activities, the students will learn like vocabulary and sentence structures?
Yes, and right now they're learning grammar.
Oh, nice.
And they're learning that the T is a silent T in some of our words.
Yeah,
So it's been fun stuff.
yeah. And wait, will you do like an assessment at the end of summer? Are you
Yeah, yes, we're planning to do an assessment. We have 2 going this in May. It's not working too well because one of our teachers got sick on us, and another one is doing some other stuff. So but I'm looking at one more before end of May, and then I'll probably start next week on that one. And then this summer we will be doing assessments on how well they're doing sentences.
Nice.
So we're combining like we did colors, numbers, animals, and body parts. So we're trying to make sentences out of those words that we're using.
Yeah. And so will your vocabulary change to match your summer activities?
Yes.
Nice. Awesome. Oh, great. I look forward to hearing about that at the end of summer.
Yeah, and we're planning also hitting on the high school students because they have summer youth interns.
Mhm.
And that's part of their plan is to include our teachers into planning the stuff with the summer youth interns, what we did last year
Okay,
with the language.
yeah. And so are the interns going to be working with the younger students or? are they-
Yes,
Okay,
yes. Last year we had the recreation, we had them combined with the summer youth,
Uh,
the older group, and they to me it was like they really adapted and well with the younger kids, and they learned how to get along. And there wasn't, this year there's not that much bullying
Mm.
at the school because I think they're starting to learn that respect.
Yeah,
And through our teachings and stuff, because a lot of times we will tell them little legends, or while we're doing arts and crafts or whatever we're doing using the language. A lot of the teachers wanted that, like for them to learn respect and wisdom and knowledge. When you learn a lot, you gain a lot from it.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's been a challenging year last year, but I just thought I'd try it out, and kind of directed the teachers into how to come up with their lesson plans and figure out, what they're going to do. And this year we're planning to get together at the after school and then figure out who's going to be doing what, and, bringing the teachings forward on the cultural side.
awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have a busy summer coming up.
Yes, very.
That's great, great.
But hopefully, we'll be able to spend money and, get these things out there for the
Yes.
kids. Right now, we're in the process of completing our coloring books,
Mm,
and we developed our coloring books, and here's one for the Shoshone. And then we got our logo on the back. We also have one for the Paiute. And now we're starting to gather curriculum together slowly and gonna develop workbooks for the Paiute, as the Shoshones have developed a curriculum already.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations on all that work.
Thank you. It's been a long process. I mean, this is the longest 3 years I ever had. And my boss laughs at me. He laughs all the time because I says, "When are you gonna give me my pink slip?" He says, "What do you mean? You ain't going nowhere." He says,
Well,
"I think
Alana, you've done such a lot of good work, and I know that our TA team and ourselves, we really appreciate you stepping in, because I know that you had quite a bit of struggles in the beginning with so many different issues with the program, and you stuck it out, and now look where you are.
I know.
I
so
know,
proud.
and it feels easier this year, even though they were slow on getting the budget. But I understand, their part, because at the time, like, they're trying to play catch up here,
Right.
and wherever
Sure.
whoever slacked and left all
Mhm.
that paperwork.
Mhm. Yep.
So being a new staff and trying to catch up, in finance is.
Right.
But
It's
they're
never-
doing a pretty good job. They've
Great.
done amazing work, and they're kind of getting up to date here, getting
Good.
caught up on stuff. So it's just like amazing. And
That's great.
And then I told them, you know what, now that we have this, and if we get refunded, I said, I could just see you whipping it out.
That's great.
And I don't have to be on you to say, hey, hurry up, let's get this done.
Well, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah. Thank you, Alana.
You're welcome.
Anyone else want to share what they'll be up to this summer with their programs? It might even be that you're going to be taking a pause and re-looking at the assessment, looking at the data. I mean, that can also be some really important activities that you may have planned for the
I was
summer.
thinking vacation.
Yeah, that too.
I was hoping everyone's gonna go on vacation. Alani?
Yeah, I know. I am no fun whatsoever.
I'm kidding.
That's funny.
Hey, well, bonjour, everybody. John Bowling, St. Paul Indian Education. And, I can definitely, understand the troubles and barriers that occur in the implementing of the programs because we have faced them as well. And we continue to. But one bright spot I did want to mention that kind of aligns with your question about summer has been our Dakota Learning Summer Institute that we do in collaboration with Concordia University here locally in St. Paul and our language consultants, Dakota, Iape, Okora, Kichie. They have between the three of us, I think that's been the gem of our program that we've been able to offer and continue every summer.
Yeah.
Well attended, very much a benefit to not just our language teachers that attend, but all that are interested in being a part of that summer learning. No one's turned away, so it's been the bright spot, and we're planning to do that again this summer.
That's
Nice.
great. That's wonderful. Keep it up.
Yeah.
That's great.
Exciting.
We're all proud. The 2020 cohort, it was tough. There was a lot of ebbs and flows and ups and downs, but we're getting close to finishing up that original grant period, and I onboarded right along with you and kind of grew along with you as well. So I'm very excited to see how the great work will continue even beyond the grant, and hope that you can share some sustainability ideas and things that you will continue to work on even beyond the grant. So yeah, we thank you.
Yes. It's a lot of growing for sure. Thank you everyone for sharing. I did want to move on to the next topic. This really came up from talking to you folks as a topic that you wanted to discuss with each other. Several of you have wanted to ask each other about how you are doing professional development, focus on growing your capacity within your organization. How are you providing professional development for your staff? How often you're providing that? And then how do you define a successful professional development, whether it's an activity or actual all-encompassing program? And so these were questions that you folks came up with, and I would love to hear, again, this is an opportunity for you to highlight some of the work you're doing, or maybe even ask each other questions about professional development and how you are doing it. So I am going to open the door for any of you to share regarding professional development that you are engaged in within your organization. Again, please come off of mute and share.
I mean, this is a huge piece to share because I know this is part of the crux of the grant itself. And so we really would love to hear how you're doing this.
Hello, everybody. This is Cindy Odell from Two Eagle River School. I'm sorry to be joining you late. I got tied up this morning, but I'm glad you're still here. So this is kind of how I would have answered our summer question. We plan to do a lot of professional development this summer.
Okay.
And the last time I was on, I asked for suggestions of people who would be good people to contact. And somebody suggested Dr. Gray Morning from the University of Montana. So he's providing a workshop right now, in fact, in Seattle. And it's on I'm going to say it's a strategy for teaching language that he has, I guess, developed. And it's called Accelerated Second Language Acquisition. And so we have 2 people right now in Seattle attending his workshop. And then we're hoping to contact and contract with him for this summer to do some PD for our language apprentices.
Great.
Right now we have 3 language apprentices come from the Kootenai Culture Committee. They've been working up there for 3 years to learn the language. And so they are excited to now share what they have learned. And so we have this partnership with the Kootenai Culture Committee. And so they come every day for the last period of the day. and for an hour and work with, I'm going to say an average of 15 students. And
Nice.
so our hope is to engage them in some professional development with Dr. Gray Morning this summer. But if
Oh, that's
anybody has
fabulous.
suggestions for other people, I would love to know that, because we have some people that we know, and like I said, we wrote some people in our proposal, but if you guys have recommendations, I'm excited, and I'll let you know how it goes with Dr. Gray Morning
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
That's great.
Anyone else? And I love the connection between the questions, you know, during summer, we're going to be doing professional development. That's great. Anyone
Right.
else? What are you guys working on as relates to professional development? How do you provide professional development?
When I know many of you wrote into your proposals that you were visiting other schools and programs. I think it would be great if, you want to share what schools and programs are you visiting? Have you already visited some and it was a really fruitful visit that others might benefit from? Or do you have some coming up on the docket that you're excited about?
This is Alana. I'm from Duck Valley. We've attended a couple trainings, and then we've also held a workshop here last year with people that were from a different reservation in Nevada,
Mhm.
to just kind of get the feel of like what they were doing in their school in Nixon and Pyramid Lake with the Northern Paiute language.
Mhm.
And trying to, I told the teachers here to kind of get ideas on how to teach, take their guidance and use it to teach it in school. Use their teaching abilities, like, use it as a guide so you can learn how to teach better, because that's where we were struggling at. A lot of the teachers were our elders, and they have no idea, like, well, where do I begin? So I've held little trainings for them, like did a little teaching methodology, and Dr. Thornis from VSU, he's come down, and him and Casey Izzy have been really helpful with that part and
Yeah.
helping them. Every Friday we meet and we discuss like the pros and cons of the language program. We discuss what's our next step. We go over the lesson plans, filling out a lesson plan, practicing how to do a lesson plan. We practice like, you're the teacher today and you're going to teach me about colors or the
Nice.
weather or whatever. And so it's just kind of been a self-development kind of process,
Mhm.
because we've had teachers in the school that have been certified and licensed, but they kind of all just kind of are not there this year for us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's a learning process.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Alana, for sharing. And I think, I know in teaching in immersion school, sometimes you can have someone with really strong language skills, but like Alana said, they might not have the strategies or the training in order to deliver content to students. Or you could have the reverse. You have a really strong, educator as far as like knowing educational strategies, instructional strategies. However, their language may not be sort of at the level that you need it to be in order to deliver a language program. And so there's sort of always those two sides, and then growing them both together is definitely a unique professional development challenge for native language programs. Okay. I'm going to just check the chat to see if anybody's sharing there. No. Anybody else want to share before we move on? Okay, this may be one I might, for the next talking circle, sort of come back and ask some of the grantees to be a highlight grantee, like you folks had mentioned previously in our discussion. So I will, don't again be surprised if I reach out to you to ask you to share. And it's not necessarily you have to share like your maybe like so fabulous, and sometimes grantees are like, oh no, but we're not doing everything we want to do. But that is important learning as well, learning from your challenges and sharing those challenges so somebody doesn't have to recreate the wheel, and we're all sort of like leveraging each other's learning in order to like exponentially grow from each other through these talking circles. So don't be surprised if I reach out to you for the next talking circle.
I think this is a great topic and really want to kind of dig down
Yeah.
some more. Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. So if nobody has anything else to share, I'm going to move on to just sort of open it up to see if there's any general questions or maybe like questions that popped in your head that was not a topic. You can take a moment to put that in the chat and or come off of mute and we can answer those questions. And as you're sort of maybe thinking about it, there's a poll that's going to be popping up. We'd love to get your feedback on this. Again, your feedback is confidential, but we do use this information in order to provide a good talking circle for you folks, to make sure that it's meeting your needs, that it's usable, and to just really hear from you so we can always improve our performance in providing. And then again, we're coming up on summer. I just want to remind you that, our support goes on through summer. And if you are, maybe it's a downtime for you, you might want to like check in with us, use it as a time to be, again, engage us as thought partners. Maybe we can connect you to other professional development that's going on or other grantees regarding maybe a particular issue that you want to dive into more now that you might have some like brain broadband around it. I know once students come in, it's sort of like they take up all of your time. Also, I want to let you know that this summer, it's not on here, but this summer we will be having a how to start your language immersion series coming up that'll run from June through August. And so you'll be getting information around that, but it'll be really reaching out into the Native American and Alaska Native, and actually a broader span of language immersion educators out there, both in Hawaii and across into the territories, to engage these experts in this area around language immersion. So keep an eye out for that. Of course, on May, we have our office hours. You want to make sure if you have any questions, you can pop in and out of that session. You're not required to stay the entire time. Also, you're not required to have a question. We have a lot of people who just sort of listen in to hear what their peers are, what the question from their peers are. Sometimes you don't even know the question you need to have answered. And so that really is helpful to hear, again, what your fellow grantees are asking. And then our next NAL Talking Circle will be in August, on August 10th. I believe one of the main topics we're going to be really talking about is professional development, again, because that seems to be an important and relevant issue for you folks. If you have any questions or you need some technical assistance, again, you can always reach out to OIE at SEIservices.com. And I am going to, you can also schedule that session by going into Calendly and going ahead and scheduling a coaching session. coaching sessions, again, like I said, can be about a specific, maybe reporting or grant management need, but it can also be about program, thinking, and again, just having us as a thought partner. Also, I want to take the opportunity and the moment to really have you think about maybe updating your email list. Here are the instructions. You want to make sure to please email your program officer for any changes, in particular as it relates to project directors and or your authorized representatives. You must get approval first before any changes can be made in G5. And this is sort of the process you would go through. You want to make sure that the request is CC to oie@seiservices.com when you notify your program officer. Want to make sure that you include the request from higher officials, their name, the name of the person that is maybe leaving, and the new person who will be taking their place, the resume, if it's a PD change, their role within your organization, whether it's a PD or the authorized representative, and a new email address. Also, new contact information, maybe a new phone number if they are at a new maybe location. All of that updated information would be really helpful. Again, you know how important it is to have your project director be updated in order for you to access G5. So you want to always keep that updated, as well as your authorized representative. And so, when you did your cover sheet and you had to have your authorized representative, that signature actually has to match who is the official authorized representative on record with OIE. And so always keeping that up to date is really important. And then again, this is our contact information. I just want to share that with you. If you have any questions, you can always email Donna or Gabby and oie@seiservices.com. Don't forget, some of you have multiple grants. And again, like you heard, at OIE, they're wearing multiple hats. And so they are managing multiple grant programs. And so it's really important that in your subject line or subject heading that you include your PR number so that they can more address the issues and will help orient them to which grant program you are connected to. And let's see, I don't know if I saw, I don't know if I saw the poll go up. Maybe I missed that. I'm gonna just stick that here. So if you folks could take the poll, if not, again, thank you. We're about 4 minutes early. I want to give you 4 minutes back to your day, but if you have any questions, we'll stay on till 8:30 or 8:30 my time. I want to thank you for attending and for sharing, and we will see you, I guess at maybe the office hours and also the annual project directors meeting in June. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Get those registrations in, invite your friends.
Yes.
It'll be a great time, some great sessions.
Yeah.